So far-left activists went to Cuba and stayed in five-star hotels while the rest of the country had a total blackout. Because nothing says fight the power when no one else has any. And nothing says solidarity with the oppressed like maid service and a mint on your pillow. It's their version of MTV's Spring Break, but instead of Carmen Electra, you get Greta Thunberg. The Cuban people are eating rationed rice in the dark, and these clowns are chowing down on $20 Snickers bars. Call it safari communism, Club Med, but red, nibbling on ceviche while real Cubans swim past sharks to get to Miami. Here's Irish rappers known as Kneecap performing before the power cut out, and fans started chanting this.
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
Well, if those are Irish rappers, they should change their name from Kneecap to Sucky Charms. They chant Free Palestine in a different country where people are rationing beans. That's like your buddy getting stabbed in the eye, but you put Preparation H on your ass. Of course, it's not about Cubans or anyone these activists claim to care about. It's an invite-only getaway to a decaying communism theme park on some NGO's dime. It's not even open to the public, of course, or then they would see how electricity is doled out to the few while no one else has power. And it's also trust fund radicals can humble brag on TikTok, while actual radicals rot in some hellhole prison for failing to salute. It's all the same, Cuba, Gaza, ICE, BLM. What unites this isn't just the power to the oppressed, it's ego, which gains size through a hate for America. Of course, they don't hate it enough to move out. Enter Code Pink, the original commie Karens, rolling in to tell the people how terrible the U.S. really is.
Here we are on our way to Cuba! We're so excited to be with the Cuban people and show our support, show our solidarity, and to say that this cruel, inhumane, barbaric policy of the Trump administration has to go.
Of course it does, because when a country collapses under decades of central planning, the real villain is the country hundreds of thousands of Cubans have defected to by duct taping hollowed-out coconut shells to their asses to float to Florida. So while the entire island is in darkness, this commie clown car stays at the Grand Hotel Bristol. 5 stars, generators, luxury service, where the closest they come to speaking truth to power is complaining to the manager that the pool boy got cocoa butter on their Dolce & Gabbana sunglasses. Why didn't these activists invite Cubans to stay in their hotel for the night? I'm sure a few did, but only after requesting hookers in Spanish. You want a glimpse of a Yankee douchebag? Here's one.
Tourism is the lifeline for the Cuban economy as it stands currently. The government has very limited resources, and the American government makes it illegal for Americans to stay wherever they want when they're in Cuba. They have to stay in what they've declared as 5-star hotels. In comparison to the situation on the island, it's prosperity pretty much. And experiencing that dichotomy is like definitely me up. Definitely.
Now, nothing he said is true, but we got to replay that last part.
Experiencing that dichotomy is like definitely me up. Definitely.
You couldn't have done that better if you scripted it. I bet he has a Grey Poupon suppository up his butthole. By the way, his glasses cost $1,400. 10 times the average Cuban salary and 4 times what I pay my writers. Of course, they're also meeting with Communist Party officials because nothing screams grassroots rebellion like schmoozing with the government militants. I can't wait for the Yelp review. Not for the hotel, but for the government. 5 stars, very attentive dictatorship, great gulags, chilled shrimp, could have been colder. But that's the left. They don't want to live under socialism. They just want to visit. Fly in, take pics, and leave before the lions, or in this case, reality, eats them. Hell, if they stayed longer, they'd find out that in Cuba, vegan means we can't afford meat. Fact is, Cuba's been struggling with power and basic services for decades. You know, the stuff that happens when the government controls everything and produces nothing. But these activists can't admit that. So instead, they play Che at the Four Seasons. And they're so stupid, they convince themselves they're helping, but they aren't convincing anyone else, especially the Cubans. So Democrats have a new strategy to win back voters: good-looking dudes. Because apparently these guys weren't hot enough. A zombie left-wing website known as The Bulwark suggests Dems could win more if they just ran hotter candidates, which is an admission that the current crop is about as appealing as a kissing booth cold sore. They said that, yes, Dems need to shed litmus tests, but they also would benefit from simply having more thirst traps on the ticket, more candidates who can make voters swoon. You mean like Gavin? Well, it is true he made Californians hot and bothered when he let their homes burn. But even a Biden official says it's easier to elect hot people. America's a superficial nation, and we want our politicians to be hot, to look good. That's just science. Oh, so now they're okay with science. After claiming that men could be women by ordering a wig off Amazon and stealing pantyhose off a clothesline. Like I say, fool me once. And it is funny that a Biden official is saying politicians should be hot when when's the last time Joe's temperature was north of 40 degrees? He had COVID 15 times and the virus died of frostbite. So voters want good looks. Then who are these hot candidates they mentioned? Maybe a John Ossoff?
Maybe a John Ossoff.
I'm sorry.
Oh my God, I want a hot president.
About your weight loss, they talked about how you look different. The idea of like slimming down is somewhat connected to folks' idea of a presidential run. I wanted to know what went into your decision to focus on your health.
I've been challenged with my weight for, most of my life, honestly. And so, the idea, and I have succeeded and failed.
Right. It appears Pritzker seems smaller. He's either lost a lot of weight or split into two separate douchebags. So you got news from Pritzker, Ossoff. They all also reference JFK, Bill Clinton. These are all straight white dudes. The same cisnormative scum responsible for everything bad. Talk about a sausage party. Or with Bill Clinton, a pig in a blanket. You got to wonder, where are the women? Or the gays, the trans, the plus-size castratos? Those groups were your priority once. They were on top of the identity pyramid, breaking the glass ceiling, not to mention a few chairs and sofas. But now it's jawlines over bloodlines. My guess is the Dems are just tired of crying themselves to sleep, clutching a picture of Pete Hegseth. I've been there. And look, everyone likes hot people. They're healthier, more confident, and look better naked on my hidden camera photos. But we knew this, and the Democrats denied it. The right never had a problem with being hot. It was them. In fact, the reason the left are so ugly is because their ideas are hideous. Ugly ideas make ugly people, which is why the left is so angry and shrill. Their faces could knock 20 buzzards off a wagon. They spent years calling beauty standards oppressive. They claimed you could be healthy at any size, even if hunters came from Africa to take shots at you. Dress codes, diets, grooming, fitness, everything that required discipline was called racist, sexist, or sizist. And it was for the same reason they rejected anything successful. It's hard. And since they couldn't pull themselves out of the mud, they expected you to join them. Forget exercise, nutrition, basic grooming. All they needed was purple hair and a nose ring that wouldn't impede the onslaught of French fries. But now they say it's good looks, not policy, that they're after. And in doing so, they abandoned their own foot soldiers, the greasy drum circle radicals, the unwashed who filled their own marches for Gaza and BLM. So good luck, Dems, but this will never work. It's true, sex sells. I have receipts from 9 different massage parlors proving just that. But people want safe streets, good schools, a decent place to raise a family. They don't want a tall, slender lounge lizard who paroles pedophiles. It's why the right won. because they weren't just nice to look at, their ideas were hot. And really, winning makes everything better looking, including me. Hard to believe I was once just an 8. Serious. So this weekend, a Chicago college freshman, Sheridan Gorman, was allegedly murdered by an illegal alien from Venezuela. His name, Jose Medina. Cut loose at the border under Biden in 2023. A month later, arrested for shoplifting, released again. He was caught and released so many times, he practically had a hook sticking out of his mouth. Now, Sheridan's own student newspaper, the Loyola Phoenix, rightfully ran this headline, quote, "Immigrant man charged in murder of Sheridan Gorman." In the story, they called the suspect an illegal immigrant. Way too kind, I say, since legally you can't call him violent piece of. But then, right on cue, they apologized, saying, "We described the man who was charged as an illegal immigrant. That language does not align with the values of this newspaper." The values of this newspaper, what exactly are those values? To inflate criminal alien self-esteem and to make sure that you can only accurately describe a crime if the suspect is white. So the real crime was the language, not the murder. They even edited the story to describe Medina as a Rogers Park resident, like he was Mr. Rogers of Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. I guess the Unabomber was a peaceful pen pal, and Lizzie Borden, just a lumberjack. Anything to avoid calling a killer a killer. To add further insult, Alderwoman Maria Haddon implied it was the victim's fault for being in the wrong place at the wrong time, and that she may have been shot because she startled the killer. As if walking in public equals waving a pork chop in front of a rabid pit bull. I'm surprised she didn't add, "Did you see what the girl was wearing?" Haddon tried to walk back her idiocy, but it's hard to do any walking in Chicago since you have to dodge all that gunfire. Meanwhile, a 4-time previously deported Honduran illegal alien has been charged with murder after he allegedly shoved an 83-year-old U.S. Air Force vet onto the New York City subway tracks. And this scum also had a lengthy rap sheet. You know the pattern now. Criminals first, especially if they're illegal, and victims last. In New York, a trans illegal migrant, which is the royal flush of identity politics. Congratulations. Just time served, 6 months behind bars for raping a teen, despite being wanted on robbery, prostitution, weapons charges. 6 months. I'm thinking way too lenient. You know, unless he's spending it hanging upside down, getting beaten like a piñata. That is less time than you'd get for doing donuts on a Rainbow Street mural. We see the same attitude among leaders in sanctuary cities. After Gorman was murdered in his city, the Chicago mayor chose to name a snowplow.
This moment is finally here. The snowplow with the most votes, most entries, abolish ICE.
Did you reconsider rescheduling this event given the murder of Sheridan Gorman by an undocumented immigrant?
This is a terrible tragedy. I'm going to continue to use every single tool that's available to me to protect the residents of the city of Chicago. And this tragedy is not going to deter us from our work.
Yeah, maybe a bad time for a little pun, don't you think? But did you guys get the joke? Because, see, a snowplow's function is to get rid of ice. So not only is Brandon an American-hating douchebag, he's the only black guy on the planet with a sense of humor. Meanwhile, in Philly, DA Larry Krasner threatened ICE agents.
This is how it works. You commit crimes within the jurisdiction that is the city and county of Philadelphia, I prosecute you. The president cannot pardon you. And yes, I will put you in handcuffs, and I will put you in a courtroom, and if necessary, I will put you in a jail cell. If you decide to make the terrazzo floor of this airport anything like what you did in the streets of Minneapolis.
Oh, he's so brave. He'll threaten anyone, except, of course, criminals. You could throw Grandma down the stairs, and he'd give Granny a summons for a noise complaint. But that's the priority, not illegal murderers, but the agents trying to stop them. And if you're a victim, good luck. You know, there's a reason the book's called Crime and Punishment, not Crime and You Had It Coming. But to these, America is not a system that has delivered tremendous prosperity and liberty to its people. It's something to loot and profit from because we deserved it. But it's time to slam the book shut on the Democrats' fairy tale romance with violent invaders. Because at this point, they're as bad as the scum they protect. All right. So California just pulled off something truly remarkable. They found a way to make a debate undebatable. At the University of Southern California, they had a gubernatorial debate lined up, and then disaster struck. The candidates who qualified were all white. So what did they do? The only thing they could do, they called the whole thing off. Yeah, Cali showed its commitment to equity by canceling a debate because the only candidates that qualified were Caucasian. It's also the same reason Kim Kardashian walked out of speed dating. So airlines they're like airlines now that put diversity above merit. California just decided to crash and burn. Apparently, debate organizers wanted candidates that looked like the latest Star Trek series. And when wokesters don't get the result they want, then they make sure no one else can play. So as if on cue, critics said the debate lineup wasn't representative enough. An excluded candidate said the process was chilling and dangerous. Another said the voters were being denied all qualified voices, which is the opposite of what happened. They picked the qualified instead of using DEI as the excuse to have their thumb on the scale. You know, and here I used to think voters decided whose voices qualified. But I'm also one of those jerks who believed in a southern border and two sexes. I just can't evolve, no matter how much European soccer I watch. Now, with the primary a couple of months away, voters will be left guessing, much like Brian Kilmeade when asked to describe a woman's breast. And of course, the media led the charge by saying nothing. When the debate got canceled, they were as quiet as me when I eavesdrop in the women's bathroom. Ugh. It's great. When I sit on the toilet, they can't see my feet. Now, nobody said the rules were unfair. In fact, they were described as data-driven. That's right, it was mathematical. But to the left, math is racist, but discriminating against white candidates isn't. So as usual, this wasn't about a fair or accurate process. It was about the message that the lineup on stage sent. And once the complaint started, the pressure mounted, the boycotts were threatened, USC folded faster than a hotel maid with a meth problem. Understand, mind you, USC didn't reschedule or revise the debate. Nope, they hung their heads in shame, like a guest in a kitchen when Chris Hansen walks in. Who hasn't been there? And what of that debate, the once vaunted airing of political positions that are so essential to a free and fair election? It was over before it began. Now the candidates' only way to get their word out in California is by shaving it into their back hair and going rollerblading. Now think about that, a university running for cover rather than standing on principle, which our universities today never hesitate to invoke when it comes to Trump or ICE. USC simply tapped out like a straight man watching The Bachelorette. Tells you everything. They'd rather have clueless voters than field a team of white guys. It's probably the same reason LA burned to the ground. It's called lowering the standards out of so-called fairness. So we've arrived at a place where DEI doesn't just shape the workplace, it shapes elections. Instead of persuading voters, they pressure institutions to abide. At USC, an overpriced institution of higher learning, just cowardly validated this dodge. And when an institution like USC caves to this crap this fast, it sends a message louder than any debate ever could. Appearances are what matter, which kind of makes perfect sense. After all, it is the home of Hollywood, the world of make-believe, whether you're talking political ideas or tits. So this week, the International Olympic Committee finally made it clear that only women can compete in women's Olympic sports. I know. What a brilliant and novel idea. I say that with my tongue so far implanted in my cheek, I look like I'm blowing a female Algerian boxer. I wonder if the scientific evidence is very clear.
The scientific evidence is very clear. Male chromosomes give performance advantages in sports that rely on strength, power, or endurance. At the Olympic Games, even the smallest margins can be the difference between victory and defeat. So it's absolutely clear that it would not be fair for biological males to compete in the female category. In addition, in some sports, it would simply not be safe.
So what changed? Well, for one, we wore them down by exposing what they had known already but denied, that they were letting men pretend to be women in order to compete. But maybe even they got disgusted watching a dude kick the crap out of a woman at the Paris Olympics. But not enough, apparently, to make the fraud give his medal back. So the cheater, Khalif, gets to keep his women's gold, which he can proudly hang around his scrotum. But what's incredible isn't that the IOC finally came to their senses, it's how the media covered it. For context, here's how Fox headlined the story. IOC announces new policy to ensure only females compete in women's competitions. Pretty straightforward, tells you exactly what the new rule will do. Now check out these other outlets. Here's AP. Transgender women athletes banned from female Olympic events by new policy. CNN. Transgender women athletes banned from Olympics by new IOC policy on female eligibility. NBC News, transgender women banned from Olympics by new IOC policy. So all those headlines are lies because transgender athletes can still compete. It just has to be in the category that aligns with their biological sex. Meaning, if you want to see men punch women in the face, you'll need to eat at a Waffle House. So, it's not a ban any more than I am banned from taking a crap because I can't use the women's John. It's just putting people in the right category. But it's obvious that the lefty media is really just trying to frame it as an act of bigotry from the IOC. You know, like when they banned straight men from the figure skating. When in fact, the only thing reversed is the denial of reality. Because for years, the rule was never about fairness, it was about fear. Fear of saying the obvious, fear of getting yelled at by people who were picked last in gym and life. And that's what this whole saga has been about, telling you what you're not allowed to notice. Remember when rational people first saw men invading women's sports and said, hey, something seems off here, they were treated like the crazy ones. They were being gaslit, and so was biology. But luckily, Mother Nature won out. You can lecture us, even legislate us, but eventually, reality shows up like a boner in a bikini. The IOC didn't discover biology, they surrendered to it. It's less of a policy shift and more of a confession. They should have added an apology, made the cheater give his medal back, and charged him with domestic violence. But this should put to bed one of the most repetitive defenses of transmania, that just because something is rare, like a dude impersonating a chick, it's not a problem. But that works only as long as you don't measure the impact. One fighter's violent deception can easily affect many lives, endorsements, careers, women's health. But it's a tiny percentage argument is a ruse, because in a civil society, that's all you need to ruin it for everyone. Just like a repeat offender commits the bulk of crimes, you only need one bad egg to ruin a neighborhood. And the impact is always larger and more destructive than everyone else's, especially when it's delivered to a woman's face. Tonight, in Is This Still a Thing? Tampons for men. Maryland Democrats are ramming a bill through the legislature. You guys see disgusting things. Anyway, where was I? They're pushing the legislature that requires tampons in all bathrooms in public buildings, including men's bathrooms. But they got to be, quote, appropriately sized. Watch as a Republican woman grills a Democrat dude who supports the measure.
Menstrual hygiene products means appropriately sized tampons. What are appropriately sized tampons? I've never heard of such a thing. What do you consider appropriate?
It just means that tampons are offered. There's no specific size.
Well, apparently there's 4 different sizes, so which one would you like them to use?
Just a regular sized tampon in the bathroom.
She asked him about tampons, and he ended up looking like a douchebag.
Hey, hey, hey.
Yeah. So on Bill Maher's podcast, the fat kid from Stand By Me made a startling admission that a comment he made to his wife and kids about Kamala losing on election night nearly got him killed.
I said something along the lines of like, there was no planning, this is what they get. There should have been a primary. My wife and daughters, without saying anything, became physical with me. They were filled with rage.
Now, people think Jerry should have kept that to himself, but he simply shared a truth that other men know intimately, that in many households, liberal wives just assume everyone else agrees with them. And if you don't play along, they go full Lorena Bobbitt. I call them lawfuls, living with awfuls. Men married to affluent white female libs. You know if you live with one, because during an election you suffer in silence and the enraged wife assumes your button lip means consensus. But in reality, men choose the hill they want to die on, and it's not this one. So Jerry revealed the quiet struggle millions of men endure. And the reaction he got is why most guys don't talk politics in the first place. I mean, it's not like we enjoy it anyway. The last thing you want to do after a long day at work is walk in the door and debate the missus over Trump. Trust me, because then they're going to want to talk about the right to vote. Hell, we'd rather pretend we're fixing the lawnmower in the garage when the lawnmower's not even broken. His name's Sergio, and he's just drunk. What keeps most men silent is not their beliefs, it's a desire to keep the peace. So you zip it knowing their wife's political outrage outweighs your need to suggest not nominating a chick on a never-ending bender. But when men nod along, they create an illusion that they agree with her, that Joe Biden is sharp as a tack, that Kamala is a tough prosecutor, that the WNBA is not supposed to be funny. Then election night comes, Dems lose, that illusion breaks, and millions of angry women are even angrier. And why? Because no one wants to disagree with these emotional tornadoes. And because their stupid ideas aren't engaged, they reside in a comfort bubble until they find out they were living among Trump voters the whole time, perhaps even sleeping next to one. The fact is, no one wants to disagree with an angry woman who thinks they're right all the time. Hell, I bet Barack Obama would have built the wall if he wasn't so afraid of his wife. And how many celebs like Jerry would speak up if they could? It's why Jimmy Kimmel and Howard Stern went full woke. It's just easier. It's self-preservation, which is something Jerry forgot about. True, he just made the mistake of being honest. It's kind of funny. Jerry did what women have asked men to do for decades. He shared his feelings. And from one man to another, don't ever do that again. Instead of running a grift, she could have called a lift. Our video of the day comes from a Michigan courtroom Zoom call, perhaps the greatest Michigan Zoom call ever, where a defendant joined the hearing while driving and apparently thought nobody would notice. Watch.
You cannot be driving, ma'am. What are you doing? Come on.
I'm not driving. I'm a passenger in a car.
You're still not. I'm not hearing cases with people driving or as passengers in cars.
Okay, I will pull over right now.
Short of us coming out to everybody's house and doing these on boats and stuff in the summer, I don't know.
I'm sorry, I have an emergency. I'm going out of town for a family member, but I will have my driver pull over. Hang on 1 second. I'm sorry. I didn't know that I wasn't allowed to be in a car, but hang on 1 second.
Am I crazy, or does it not look like you're driving that car?
I'm not driving the car. I'm a passenger in the car, sir.
Such a liar.
What side of the car are you on?
I'm on the left-hand side.
How would you be on the left-hand side if you're a passenger in the front seat? Am I missing something?
At least say you're in England. Just say you're in England, lady. That might have bought you some time. But instead, she keeps doubling down. More, please.
Right hand side. I'm sorry. I've been sitting in a room. I didn't know.
What does that mean?
Yeah, the seatbelt's coming off of the driver's side. Right? You know you're lying to me, right?
No, I'm not, sir.
Let me see the driver. Let me see the driver.
Hang on 1 second.
Now.
I have to ask their permission.
Now.
Oh my God.
Oh, you're not in the you weren't in the driver's side. You think I'm that stupid?
Was Richardson acting rash in response to this Crash Tonight's debate? Who's in the wrong, Reacher or his neighbor? Reacher star Alan Richardson was caught on cam beating his neighbor Ronnie Taylor. Yeah, that Ronnie Taylor, who accused Alan of speeding on his motorbike. Now, this looks bad, but body cam footage shows it started when the neighbor jumped in on the road, causing Reacher to crash. Roll it.
Kidding me, bro? Look. Stand in front of a again, dude. Okay, what? You threatened my safety, bro. Are you kidding me? I should not be fired now. Go ahead, go down. Go down. I'm called the BPD. I'm called them already because you'll be driving on this neighborhood like a lunatic. There's kids running around here. Go ahead.
I think it's Tennessee. Wow, love that music. Then Taylor wouldn't let Richardson leave and shoved him, a decision he now regrets. Man, that guy was basically asking to be pummeled. Like that time I picked a fight with Peter Dinklage.
Aww.
Tonight on We Don't Deserve Him, while in Memphis for a roundtable meeting on crime, the president made his first ever visit to Graceland. I wonder, Memphis, I guess you probably heard, the crime numbers are way down.
Memphis, I guess you probably heard the crime numbers are way down. Most of them are down by 75% and more. And within 2-3 months, we'll have it down to over 90%. So you have to be happy. Elvis would be very happy about that, right?
Everyone loves Elvis.
I love Elvis, too.
Elvis would be happy. Later, while discussing Elvis's karate background, Trump asked the question on everyone's mind. I wonder, was he really good, or was it just, could I have taken him in a fight?
Was he really good, or was it just...
Actually, he was really good.
Okay.
He started practicing.
Could I have taken him in a fight?
I don't know. You might.
I think he would have been respectful enough to let you win.
Yes, he probably would.
Yes. We all would have asked that question. Of course, no day with Trump would be complete without the president clowning on a reporter.
Mr. President, you've deployed ICE agents to American airports today. Newsmax, sir. You've deployed ICE agents.
You're not doing a very good job.
You've deployed ICE agents.
You're not doing a good job. Did you hear me? Okay, go ahead.
What exactly do you want from these
I'm
smalls?
taking CNN over Newsmax.
Oh. Even with a single brow, Trump's still able to wow. Our video of the day comes from the White House, where Secretary of War Pete Hegseth was explaining the perseverance of America's military in the fight with Iran. But it was Trump's reaction to Pete's metaphor that caused this eyebrow-raising moment.
The president has made it clear that you will not have a nuclear weapon. The War Department agrees. Our job is to ensure that. And so we're keeping our hand on that throttle as long as hard as is necessary to ensure the interests of the United States of America are achieved on that battlefield.
Now, in case you missed it, I think we should look at it one more time.
Yes. As long as it's hard as is necessary. As long as it's hard as is necessary.
As long as it's hard as is necessary.
Kat, do you think he was thinking that's what she said?
Yes!
He's quite the harpy when it comes to the Sharpie. Thursday at a cabinet meeting, the Prez talked about the economics of the writing instruments he uses when he signs important documents. See this pen right here?
See this pen right here? This pen is very inexpensive, but it writes well. I like it. But I can't have the pen the way it was. You know what it is. I don't want to give too much publicity, but they do treat me well, Sharpie. So I came here, they have $1,000 pens. Beautiful pen, ballpoint. 1,000, it was gold, silver, gorgeous. But I'm handing out to kids that don't even know what they're, what is this, Mommy? They didn't write well. So I take it out, and I saw it, and there's no ink. And I got all you people looking, and you say, there must be something wrong with Trump. This one, I called the guy. I said, I'd like to use your pen, but I can't have a gray thing with a big S on it saying Sharpie. He said, well, I can make it nicer. I said, what can you do? He said, I'll paint it black. I said, that's nice. And I can even paint the White House on it, sir, if you like, in gold.
It's got to be gold. What about me? But whatever you do, don't ask the president if he's going to go in for the uranium.
Mr. President, are you going to go in for the uranium? Like, how do you secure Iran and...
Let's assume I was or I wasn't. Why would I ever answer a question?
Can you accomplish
what kind of a question? Am I going to go in for the... Oh, yeah, I'm going in. We're going in tomorrow at 3 o'clock. How could you possibly ask a question like that and expect an answer? I don't know. But I don't know. I think you're a friendly person, too. It's just such a ridiculous question.
We really don't deserve him. Later in the day, he dialed into this show called The Five. Now, I think you know he did very well with the gay vote, okay?
No, I think I did very well with the gay vote, okay? I even played the gay national anthem as my walk-off, okay, for my campaign. And I think it probably helped me, but I did great with no Republicans ever gotten the gay vote like I did, and I'm very proud of it. I think it's great. Perhaps it's because I'm from New York City. I don't know, but the gay national anthem was my walk-off.
His walk-off. Finally, does Dana remember when they had lunch years ago at the base of Trump Tower?
You remember when we had lunch years ago in the base of Trump Tower when it was a brand new building?
It was a long time ago, yes.
A long time ago, and you haven't changed. Oh. You have not changed. Now, I'm not allowed to say this. It's the end of my political career, but you may be even better looking, okay? So I don't know what you're doing. But I will not say that.
Makeup has a lot to do with that.
I will not say that because that will end my political career. You know, you're not allowed to say a woman's beautiful anymore. You know that, Jesse. You got to be careful.
Jesse's always in trouble.
Paul, you see Dana handling that compliment? She's shifted it to hair and makeup.
First of all, let's review the bidding here. He's funny.
Yeah.
He's gay-friendly. Flirting with Dana, and he uses a Sharpie. He's you.
My God. Are you saying I should run in 2028?
That's exactly